I want to start with a quote today. Pain and suffering are always inevitable for a large intelligence and a deep heart. The really great man must, I think, have great sadness on earth. Guess who said that? Well, you might say that it is Dostoevsky because you might see it on the thumbnail of this video. But what book it is? Moin moin, dear people. Anna of Northern Germany here, a survivor, a fighter, a writer, and today I decided to do something fun again, and I decided to do one of those writing routines, kind of writing routines. It's not exactly going to be a writing routine because I will explain why in a second. But I'm fascinated how other authors try writing routines of more popular writers and authors and creators. And I also wanted to try, but I don't want to repeat other people because I think there are very beautiful videos made by, for example, Christy Androns that I really enjoy watching. And she has a series of absolutely amazing writing routines done. And I decided to dig deeper into my Russian nature and answer a question for myself. Who is my favorite author from Russian literature? It's raining outside, so beautiful, so suitable, so suitable. Yeah, and my favorite author appeared to be Fyodor Dostoevsky. Yeah, that guy. I had already introduced you to the term of Russian Khton. You can hear it from my other videos, so it's something sad, something depressive, something with a bad ending possibly, with like deep philosophical meaning, etc., etc. And I think Dostoevsky is the king of Russian Khton. And me, whose favorite author is actually Matt Haig, you can see it in my other videos, but my Russian nature prefers Fyodor Dostoevsky. Weird, right? I think my favorite story is The Devils or The Demons. And I also read Crime and Punishment at school, and now I'm listening to Brothers Karamazov. And I am fascinated by Fyodor Dostoevsky because yeah, he has these huge books, and yeah, they had these huge books because they were paid for pages or for words even, I don't remember. But yeah, he represents all his thoughts, his philosophy, his views on life. He represents himself in his favorite characters or his characters who are not his favorite. And yeah, I thought what it would be if I just decided to write as Dostoevsky for a day. Now I will explain to you that it's not going to be like a proper writing routine because, well, first of all, Fyodor Dostoevsky wrote at night. So from 12 a.m. he was writing all night long and he went to bed in the morning. I could perform something like this, but if you want me to perform something like this, you really need to send me like a huge box with ibuprofen because my head wouldn't tolerate that. And yeah, well, actually today my nervous system, exhausted by German bureaucracy, decided not to allow me to sleep. So actually I feel a bit like I wasn't sleeping all night long, so I think the state should be plus or minus similar. And also I don't have peasants who can work for me. I don't get money from the air because of serfdom, what serfdom is, you can Google it, but basically it's like peasants belonged to certain lords and ladies, mostly lords, and it continued up to 1861 in Russia. And of course, Dostoevsky was from a family of lords, Russian type of lords. I don't have that, and most of us don't. And yeah, maybe Putin is not aware of that, but yeah, actually serfdom and slavery are abolished in the modern world. Still a lot to do though. And also he had an advantage of his wife, who was also called Anna, and she typed his stories. So he wrote his stories by hand and she typed his stories. She was a professional typist. I don't have a wife who would type my stories for me. If someone wants to marry me and to be my typist. But yeah, I'm also Anna, so I can do everything by myself, as always. And yeah, so basically I would not go into write throughout the night. I'm going to do something else. I found this article, Write Like Dostoevsky, some things that are doable for me, that I will try. And what I'm going to write, well, this article is basically about a start, like starting a novel. And I have 2 novels in process. I think I would put them aside for this video. And I will try to write a Halloween story. So I don't have an idea yet. I thought it could be a good attempt to write like from the complete zero. And yeah, so let's try. So I suggest starting from the basics. Fyodor Dostoevsky started a new notebook for every story of his. So I prepared a notebook. Normally, I'm a person who doesn't like randomly starting notebooks because I have my notebook where I organize videos and other stuff. I have a notebook where I do random stuff. I have my journal, and well, technically I don't need another notebook. But this one, I prepared it for the vacation because soon I'm going for the first vacation since 2019. And this one looks a bit weird because my friends are doctors and they brought it from some kind of a seminar. Yeah, so I will start it with this book. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go downstairs. Downstairs we have newspapers, and I'm going to read the local newspapers, because Dostoevsky was famous for extracting his ideas from the local stories, from the local newspapers, and yeah, of course, he did it incredibly well. Of course, it's not just enough to look it up, but it's also like important to know the place because he described St. Petersburg very well. He gave it this color, yellow color, color of the illness. So yeah, so his books have atmosphere. That's also why I love them. Yeah, so let's try to read some criminal news and let's see what we will come up with. If you wonder why I wear no makeup today, maybe to be more authentic or maybe to match the colors of St. Petersburg, I don't know. Also, yeah, I might pretend to have a beard, like Fyodor Dostoevsky, but I think I would rather resemble to Rasputin. Bizarre things are happening. I think my poetry book, like Sylvia Plath, Ariel, leaves its own life because it just finds itself at random places, because I was reading it in the living room And now it found itself in the kitchen. And once I was reading it in the living room, and I remember myself taking it upstairs. And then I randomly found it in the living room. Bizarre. But yeah, I will show you what I've got here. Bergedorfer Zeitung and Lauenburgische Zeitung. It's something from my surrounding where I live, Hamburg, Schleswig-Holstein area. Do I think that I will find something interesting there? I don't think so, but I will try. I'll try to read some criminal news or something. Let's see. Also a problem that I don't really know if I want to scare people with my story or I want actually something cozy, because yeah, normally I'm not a cozy person, possibly, I don't know, but I'd love to try because I like coziness. But yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure I can find something in this newspaper because who can inspire me? This dude. He's very sweet, of course, but yeah, so far I can summarize like some sport events, some house thieves. Okay, I don't know if I can say that it was successful. I looked through the newspapers. I think I don't really live in a criminal region. And of course there are no drunk fights in the newspaper somewhere in a pub that probably Dostoevsky experienced himself, or some murders of some grannies or some old ladies, or I don't know. So far so good. I will try to search Deutschlandwide, so throughout the whole Germany on the internet. Well, I feel sleepy. I don't like reading news. I think newspapers are pretty dead for me. I don't know, on the internet. I don't know if it might inspire me. I found one idea. It's not like an idea, but I just wrote some clues for myself, and then I'll have to write something like main idea, main characters, the description of the characters. But yeah, first I want to read a bit more of the newspapers. I guess I won't see what Dostoevsky saw in these newspapers, and they also changed quite a lot since 18-ish, 1850s, for example. But yes. I think Trump and his murder attempt just cover everything, flash over everything. And on the one hand, it seems like local violent attacks became fewer, but at the same time, general violence of the world is growing. That's why I don't like reading news like properly, because I don't know, they are just killing me. And I still want to preserve my mental health, and I also want you to preserve your mental health. And I don't want my Halloween story to destroy your mind. So I think I will check a couple more websites. I'll read you some like proper criminal news. Mistook himself for God. German nurse who killed over 100 people. Germany's serial killing nurse appeals life sentence for 85 murders. In the previous article there were 100. Something about kids. Ex-Nazi camp guard. Very nice. Women who joined some radical Islamist organizations. It's amazing. A man killed a cashier who told him to wear a mask. Interesting. I didn't find any records on Dostoevsky's mental health, but I don't know. I don't know how you can read the news every day and they can inspire you and you can write long, long novels being deep in the story, creating the characters and plot lines and getting attached to characters and all this stuff. I don't know, and it doesn't inspire me. I don't know. So I am still trying to pretend to be Dostoevsky. It's not very successful. I wrote some topics here. So basically what they are right about, like in the article about Dostoevsky's writing style, is that newspapers, news, criminals, news, they are the reflection of the society. And if I was in Russia, I would still find lots of drunk fights, and also now with the war, with people returning from the war and also the criminals returning from the war, having been released by Vladimir Putin. It's a bit of a different situation. And here in Germany, domestic violence, men abusing women, it's an eternal problem. Migration, problems caused by that or problems connected with that, racism and radicalization of the society. So you can see the difference. Is it going to help me to write a story? Or, I don't know, a novel, whatever. So far, I don't see how it might help, but okay. The next thing what I'm going to do, I'm going to plan, like Dostoevsky, I'm going to, in my head, to organize what I read. I'm going to think about the characters, I'm going to think, like, where I am actually going. I'm going to procrastinate because I think Dostoevsky and other authors were famous for their procrastination. And in the article that I read, that it's even said that postpone the actual writing as long as possible. I don't know. I think I'm more of like fits and starts person. So I need action. Yeah, I do planning, but I need the action. So I do a bit of planning, a bit of action. But I will try to really procrastinate. What Dostoevsky also did. He wrote and he also sketched. He sketched a lot of Gothic windows, and also the characters. I will reiterate that I'm a painter from the word paint, so I think I will try to sketch. I'm not sure I will show you what I will sketch, because maybe I will be ashamed. But yeah, let's try to go somewhere. Let's try. What Dostoevsky also did he picked a place where everything is going to take place, to happen, and he also chose who was going to tell the story. So far I have no idea. It's my first time when I'm just like brainstorming from nothing, like there were from no idea in my head. Well, it's maybe not even the season exactly, but I also don't know, like, yeah, it's difficult to say if I want like a creepy story or I want like more cozier story, or if I want to place it in my hometown. My hometown is super creepy, but it's a different level of creepy, you know. Or I want to place it somewhere like in the place where I live, and the place where I live, it's of course cozy. So maybe I should write 2 stories. I have no idea about either of them yet. Very ambitious. She was very ambitious. Okay, I decided to go with Dostoevsky style. I decided to pick my hometown as a place where it is going to happen, and maybe I will also write a cozy story. Those are my sketches. They're a catastrophe. The first one, it's an old lady in the window, and the old lady had actually died. The second one is the door, and it's supposed to be red, like the writing, but I used to have one red pencil and my friend took it and I was lazy to buy another one. It says debt because we have a lot of problems when people take loans. They cannot return that, and yeah, they're being attacked by these money claimers. And a couch on fire. Guys, I'm afraid that to write like Dostoevsky, at least pretend to be writing like Dostoevsky, you have to be Russian. Because like to create this Khton, you need to live in these blocks of flats on these dark staircases and exchange these weird stories with your friends in childhood. And I also remembered these weird stories that we exchanged. Yeah, stay tuned. I will plan a bit more. And I don't know what it is going to be. Maybe it will not result in a story. I don't know, but I think I caught something. I think I caught some vibe, and maybe I want to exploit a bit of folklore again, or maybe I won't, or maybe I'll use some stories from my background. I also had quite many stories. So yeah, I don't know if anyone would read that, but you know what, in my opinion, you can also do if you want to write like Dostoevsky? Listen to that guy. Listen to that guy. It's Vyacheslav Butusov. The band is called Nautilus Pompilius. Or you can watch Balabanov's movies. Brother 2. It's also St. Petersburg. Much later, more than a century later than Dostoevsky described it when Dostoevsky lived. But still the atmosphere is similar, so enjoy. I think the story is also going to be about home. Well, it's kind of my weak point constantly. Although, yeah, I have home, but I'm also in the search for an apartment right now. And yeah, I technically had home in Russia, but it was also not always safe. So yeah, I think home is the topic of the story. Continue the journey. I think I have a character. Does she look ugly? Maybe, but I don't see her ugly. I painted her from the word pain. I think it's going to be a girl, like a vulnerable creature, because I think girls are super vulnerable in Russia, especially at the ages like 17, 18, and yeah, it's going to be a very dark story. I think I remember when I was little, like 14, I was a big fan of Stephen King, and I was dreaming how I would become an author when I grow up and write horror stories. Now I don't feel like writing horror stories, but so far this one is appearing to be a horror story. I hope I will stay sane by the moment when I actually write this story. So, do you want to see my achievements? I spent like 2 hours pretending to be Dostoevsky, like this light version of his writing routine, and I did everything what I could do. Of course, I didn't do such things as publishing my novels or stories in parts in journals or magazines. Do even people still publish like this? I don't know. Do you know that? It's just a curious question. I don't know. For 2 hours, I can say that I have a plot, plus or minus. I am not sure that newspapers helped me. I think what helped me that I am Russian, and I think it's not difficult for me to actually write this Russian style creepy story with these dark apartment buildings at night with this like with this weather when you feel very like when it feels like a person with a knife is hiding behind every corner wherever you step. And yeah, I was also growing up there. I was growing up in a small town called Kursk, and small towns in Russia, they are also like a different story. Like Moscow is one thing, St. Petersburg is another thing, and small towns, they're far away from that, and they're also creepy in their own way. And I think I have a character, I already showed it. And I also have some characters. I think I wrote like the plot line. I sketched, it's horrible, like I sketched this broken lamp, very bad broken lamp, because it's like, I think it's a symbol of this apartment buildings, flat blocks of flats in Russia, these broken lamps, and the light that is not on, and you have to crawl up in the darkness. So sketched like other characters. I also sketched bottles standing on the flights, syringes. It's the ugliest syringe that you've ever seen, probably. An alcoholic, crazy lady, old lady, and this one, I think it's the creepiest one for me. Please focus. I know it doesn't want to focus like this. So yeah, it's the creepiest one. I tried to depict one man who was a drug addict. He didn't live in my building. He lived in the building opposite to my building, and he wore this blonde hair, very long blonde hair, and he was walking like this, and he was huge, and he was so creepy. So yeah, I proved that I can into Khton. What I can say, if you want to try something like this, like Dostoevsky writing routine, well, you can try. I also want you to think in advance about your mental health, what you can do, what you cannot do. If you want to do like the full writing routine, writing at night, if you're a night owl, okay. If you're not, don't mess with that, because I don't know, it's not really worth it. I feel amazing. I didn't sleep well, but still, I don't know how I would do that in the darkness at night, like with the artificial light, and then, well, maybe it's also something that like gives it a different color, because when it is light but you describe something like really dark, maybe it's a bit more difficult than if you do it at night. It's in the modern situation, especially somewhere in Russia, but yeah, in any country, if you also do a side job, if you have to consider like actually earning money, writing at night, only if you work day shifts and at night, well, it still doesn't work. If you want to write like Dostoevsky, my advice to you to listen to Russian music, watch some Balabanov as inspiration. The news, yeah, the Russian news, well, it's hard to find them if you don't speak Russian, but yeah, if you really want to inspire yourself with the criminal Russian news, you can try to translate with Google Translator. It's not that bad these days. And yeah, I also didn't include things like losing your money in some game, because I don't approve this type of games when you lose money. And we are not in Las Vegas after all. I'm not sure that there are casinos and other stuff in Hamburg. And maybe it's for better, because I think in the past it was much easier to lose your money. But also you kind of had money, more money, because you were the owner of some estate and a pack of peasants that you could sell them if you didn't have enough money. Yeah, I also can say that the experience that you have yourself is also like something that helps you a lot to write something like Dostoevsky. Also tell me if you read Dostoevsky at schools, if you're not from Russia, because yeah, in Russia I know that we read Dostoevsky, Crime and Punishment. And yeah, if you don't read Dostoevsky, why? Because, for example, in the USSR, Dostoevsky was banned because he was too depressive. And depression and bad things didn't exist in the USSR. And yeah, the quote at the beginning, also, if you know from which book it is, you can share. You can get one big and love and peace from unknown northern Germany. But you'll get it anyway, so yeah. Tschüss. I sneak into my friend's room to show for the most curious people. I think one of, well, let's say, the most successful picture that I painted so far. Took a lot of time. I'm not sure I want to repeat this experience. It was also a lot of stress. It was a gift for my friend's birthday. I will show it to you. This one. Not perfect, but I think I am super proud. So if you want to try painting. Tschüss.